Gotta support the guys. This is the best cafe around. Ashton Morgan, Liam Fraser. I'm gonna do a cappuccino, please.
Past 11 a.m. Didn't you listen to Fede, man?
I'm not Italian. In Colombia, you can have a cappuccino at 9 p.m.
Whatever you want.
It's okay. I'm an espresso guy. I love my espressos.
So why not?
Because, you know, all for one, man. That's all for one. Had to try something different. You know, show out a little bit. Have the nice little decoration. 10 out of 10. I support everyone. But of course, my guys here at Sonder.
The most challenging part was definitely 8 draws in a row. It's very easy to look at that and pick us either as half full or half empty.
It was crazy. It was a mix. Like some of them we went up 1-0 and then lost the lead, and there's other games where we went losing and then we tied it up. So it was like it wasn't something consistent in that sense. It was just mixed feelings the whole time. It was like, yeah, good, like we're not losing. After losing so many games to start with, yeah, we're a hard team to beat. Like we're not losing games, but then at the same time, it's like we're not winning either.
You felt for the group as always working towards the breakthrough. Like when was the breakthrough going to happen? And honestly, I actually thought it was going to be in Sifu's first start, I think, at New England, where we had a lead late and then we suffered a deflection goal, right, that turned into a draw.
Nobody ever talks about having a little luck, you know what I mean? And there are some moments in games where a few bounces go your way, this, that, you get a result. And then maybe that result turns into more confidence the next game, and you win that next game, and it's like a domino effect. So
we're not getting the full 3 points, but at the same time, we're going away to some of the best teams in the East, holding them to 1 goal, coming back also after getting a hit early on in the game. That's definitely the most challenging mentally, because you have to be aware that it's a positive moment.
And I remember guys were tired of it, like, oh, we're sick and tired of tying, of course. The Chicago game was the 8th tie, which was crazy. That was a crazy game too.
Centering pass, and it's 1-0.
Honestly, when we went up that game, like, okay, this is the day. This is the day we get our 3 points, And then the second half starts and they score on 2 set pieces, I believe. And we're down. And it's like, man, like we're in a game that we feel like, we're in a good spot to win, and we just, 2 set pieces. And now the streak is going to be done by a loss, but we keep fighting, as we did the whole time during that streak, and then, we get the penalty.
And now trying to come and bite them back. Mihailovic, no! Brady! Oh, and Mihailovic is there on the rebound to put it home. What a sequence of events. But Mihailovic indeed ties his game at 2.
And again, another tie.
For us to go 8 draws in a row I don't think that will ever be beaten. Ever.
And I think Ola, just speaking to it in the summer when we decided to cut the loan, I think is, very clearly just something that didn't work, right? And so it's a little bit of, I think, 2 sides of the coin. On one end, I don't necessarily think we set the team up in the first half of the season to give a striker much joy. At the same time, I think it's clear that, the performances weren't there, right? And so at the end of the day, between what we saw from the player, what he was able to deliver from an analytics perspective or from a technical and subjective perspective, at the end of the day, it was a miss, right? It didn't work. And sometimes this is football, and even though everything looks like it should work on paper, at the end of the day, it didn't. And that's just something that we have to accept and we have to learn from.
that. No easy games left for us, but that is the feeling, that is the goal. We have to reward ourselves. We put it on ourselves, we put it on each other, but we have to reward ourselves. We put in too many good shifts throughout the year not to have that feeling. Honestly, you guys are good. You are. You're good. And I just want you to feel that. Because I know every week we come in here after a draw and the feeling is disappointing. I want you to feel that. So, go again. Okay? Where can we go again?
Even after we were mathematically out of the playoffs, you know, Robin spoke about it a lot, and we spoke about it within the team, that we play still for our pride, you know, and that means a lot for the fans. Just because the playoffs are done, we can't just let games go or think that they don't matter. No, every game, even from that point on, every game will still matter, you know, going into building for next season.
It is a perfect day for the final game of Toronto FC's season, MLS Decision Day. Running into BMO Field as Toronto FC face Orlando City to wrap up their 2025 campaign. Yes, the playoffs are a thing of the distant past, and yet you want to go into next season on Fan Appreciation Night, giving your fans something to cheer for this evening.
You have to come to the last game of the year, and Orlando, I think, is a very, very good team, extremely talented.
I think it really felt like a watershed moment for the coaching staff and for the players who've been working relentlessly to not only perform well, but to also have the outcome. And so to have that, especially in front of our home fans, I think was a real positive.
You can see right now they are with their movement. Richie again coming inside for that middle position. This is where Richie's good as well, when he just drives, takes that space.
And he get a shot on target, lays it off to Cifuentes. Now the late runner, and it's in! Outstanding build-up play! Mihailovic clipping it over, and into the back of the net! The man of the moment, Djordje Mihailovic! And Toronto FC are off to a flyer on MLS Decision Day with 2 goals of the highest quality. Towards Ojeda, but Angulo can't control it. Now to Etienne Jr. crossing it to Djordje Kerr! The men in red spoiling their fans tonight with a 4-goal performance. A brace from Djordje Mihailovic, Jonathan Osorio, and Djordje Kerr with a victory. Their first in 9 matches to cap off their year. It finishes at BMO Field tonight.
The highlight is for sure the win. My first win for the club, of course. I'm very happy that it was at home in front of the fans.
To end it that way with a win, and the way we did it was satisfying, honestly. This team is in a good spot. It is heading in the right direction.
I thought what we saw in the last game was really the culmination of a year's worth of effort. A great way to end the year, and certainly we feel like it needs to be a launch pad for how we start next year.
Even in a season like this, there's still many like positive moments. It's crazy. There was the game in Salt Lake. We were in a bad run to begin the season, and we go into a hard place, and they ended up being a playoff team, and we sneak out a 1-0 victory. And it was crazy because we came into the locker room and nobody was like, we were all disappointed in how we played. And it was crazy because at that point I was saying, and I said it in the change room, I think, and a few guys said it, like, 3 points is 3 points. At this point, we'll take that, you know? And then everybody kind of like looked at each other like, yeah, you know what? Like, instead of being negative in a situation where there's been so many negatives already, we have to look at the positives. And the positive, we got 3 points in that game, and that actually led to a couple of I think 3 ties in a row against top teams. So there was little moments like this that were like positive, even in the beginning, in the first half of the season. Obviously, the Montreal game, I think, is a huge one for the team, for the fans, what that result meant and how we played and everything. That was amazing. We go to San Diego and we get a win out there, like, they won the West. So that's what made it, I think, such a frustrating season. because we knew we were capable of being a decent team and playing and going toe-to-toe with some of the better teams in the league. But for some reason, we just couldn't get the season going. I think the club maybe has learned things from the past few years of what the club needs or what the team needs going forward, what's the best way to move forward. And yeah, I know people say, I've been at TFC my whole life, but hey, I've gone through a lot of changes. It's like being part of different teams, honestly. So I've experienced my fair share of different kind of moments or eras with TFC, and this is a new one coming up, and I'm really excited for it.
Like the season just finished, but I'm already excited for preseason and to start playing next year.
And there's such a good foundation built here that kid brings so much positivity to a locker room for the start of next year.
I looked at the team and I looked at myself and I was like, there's something really interesting being built here. Yeah, there's been a lot of change, coaching staff, players, but I do think that this time is different. I believe the players that will be here next year, I have a feeling, and you can tell by the way they've played throughout the past few months, they all want to be here, they all want to contribute here, they all want to win here.
Yeah, of course, at the end of every year, there's going to be turnover from the roster. And of course, I just came in, I built relationships with guys that they're probably not going to be here, so that's the tough part. But like I was saying, the foundation that the coaches have built, the philosophy, the way the team competes every day in training and in games is not going to go away. And it's only going to get better when new guys come in. And that's what makes it so optimistic.
Yeah, I think the new faces and the amount of new players that we're going to have are going to change the feeling. And to be honest, I already felt it in the second half of the season. It was a different feeling on the pitch. It was already a different feeling with the guys that we had. So that in itself is a positive, and it can only I think get better, honestly.
It's football. I think change does happen, but very excited to see what the new year looks like, new faces, just a new energy in the building as well. So I think you can be excited about stuff like that. So I'm hoping for a very good start to the year that we haven't had this season, and yes, kind of just kickstart our season from there.
We go into every year with this optimism, and you have to. And probably, if I'm being honest, maybe fans are tired of kind of hearing it, and with reason, of course. How can you blame them? But I would say that this offseason is different. It is.
I keep saying, before in these interviews, younger goalie. That's not younger anymore. You know what I mean? So I'm getting to the point where it's now I gotta transition and I gotta be, that guy to start pushing the standards and not using that younger player excuse anymore. So I can't wait to start next year.
I would say it's not breaking news. We were coming to the end of a kind of contractual life cycle for a few folks. Guys like Derek Etienne, Raul Petretta, Sigurd Brostedt, Kevin Long, Sean Johnson, some younger boys like Ned Edwards, Charlie Sharp. We understood what 2025 would be, and we understood the flexibility of the way we wanted to position ourselves for the big rebuild, as Keith alluded to. That doesn't necessarily mean that talks with said players aren't ongoing, or there's a potential solution to find our way back together in the coming weeks or the coming months before the 2026 season. But for the most part, we're likely in and around 9 to 10 folks that, as of today, won't be returning. We need new faces, we need new blood, we need new look.
And it'll be up to the staff and the players who are returning to incorporate the new players into the way we do things, the way we think, the way we approach, the way we defend, the way we attack. Just because some of the personnel is changing, I don't think the principles are going to change for us at all. So it's really about incorporating the new players as they come in into looking at the game through the lens that we use.
Yeah, so guys that, we exercise options to return, or a lot of the younger guys who we think have shown some real promise, right? So DeAndre Kirk, Kosi Thompson, Kobe Franklin, Jules Lassane, Willie Henry, and we are going to be exercising Theo's option. For us, when you talk about a core of young Canadian guys who, in a season really that had ups and downs, had different moments and different opportunities to show themselves in a way that we want to continue working with them. And I think, that's something that we're going to continue at this club to keep a keen eye on and how we're integrating our young guys and being a part of what we believe is going to be a really robust and strong team built for repeatable and sustainable success.
It definitely gives you a good sense of trust with the people that are going to stay here. The coaches believe in them, the front office believes in them, the club believes in them. So that's always positive when you get that kind of trust from them. And that builds confidence right away. I hope that's my position. I believe that's my position, and I will make sure that's my position.
I feel like this offseason, more than any other offseason in the last 3 years, there's a lot of room for improvement, or a lot of room to make significant moves, really. And I think that's what's different than all the other years. So this team will have a different feeling than the past 3 or 4 years, just because we'll have a lot of new faces and a lot of new blood in the team, which I think is necessary for this point. First, I will say, of course, as always, very grateful for them and thankful because they still show up. They pay money to watch us play. I don't want to convince them with words anymore. It's got to be on the pitch.
TFC was one of the first teams to reach out to my agent in free agency, and it was my first time being a free agent, so I didn't really know exactly how the process would work. But right away they jumped in and were interested, and so talks obviously started. You talk to a bunch of different teams, you gauge interest, you start to narrow that list down, and then start to look at, okay, what's a good fit? And when I looked at Toronto, it kind of checked all the boxes. You look at the staff, you look at the team, the club being ambitious and wanting to win, not only in the future, but to win now, and in the city, and what it's going to be like for my family to come here. So across the board, I was like, that makes a lot of sense. Let's keep progressing these talks and see if we can come to a deal, and ultimately we did, and I'm so happy that it ended up being TFC. Obviously did some research on Robin, knew about his pedigree as a defender, and being able to learn from those guys, that's invaluable. I don't ever want to think I have it all together. I don't want to ever stop learning, stop growing, stop developing. So I think that he's a coach that I'll respect, not only for his coaching philosophies, but also knowing that he's done it. He's been in my shoes. He's reached the highest heights in MLS play. And so, yeah, I'm excited to learn from him. Being a center back, I think, just from our initial conversation, I think we're aligned on so many different ways that we see the game, different values that we have for ourselves and the standards that we have for our teammates. And so it was an awesome first conversation that I had with him when talking about coming to the club, and really just solidified everything I had heard about him prior to meeting him. We want to win. It's the standard that this club was built off of, and it's had highs and lows for sure. But when I think about Toronto, I think about them at their best, winning a treble, winning the Supporters Shield, MLS Cup, and the Canadian Championship. Let's get back there. I'm going to do my best to be a part of that journey, and hopefully they'll be behind us the whole way. But I'm excited to meet everyone, and can't wait to make them proud.